Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. It is the Thursday, March 13th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming here from the WellPoint Studios here in beautiful, historic downtown Lowell, and my special guest today, downtown Lowell resident, now, but longtime Lowell resident.
DTF, Downtown Frank.
Downtown Frank. Frankie McCabe, the host of the Can I Be Frank podcast, which also appear here on Inside Lowell, a former colleague of mine over at WCAP, where you hosted the Can I Be Frank radio program, and occasionally you spit out a Can I Be Frank column.
I try.
Well.
I try.
I think the last one you did was when the Patriots were playing the Raiders. You were comparing the two ownerships of the franchise.
Oh, now you're dating me. You're making me feel lazy. All right.
That's my hint to,
My boss has given me a nudge over here.
I need to nudge you a little bit.
Pal, you got
Otherwise, I'm going to have to cut your pay rate.
Noted.
You realize this.
I don't know how he can cut it anymore. All right.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. As fate would have it, the last week, and actually the last 12 hours have brought a parade of major topics surrounding Lowell, the Commonwealth.
I got a fun day today, by chance.
We got a lot to talk about. We're going to try to get it all in so we can get you to work on time as well. Let me just quickly thank our Daily Pulse sponsors. Of course, Ray Booten. He's a licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. He is a certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, a commercial property, there's only one person to call, Ray Booten. Real Estate Ray Booten is the web address. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. WellPoint is the only health plan offering health care benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. And the open enrollment period for GIC employees in Massachusetts, whether you're a state or a municipal employee, it's opening up pretty soon. So look into WellPoint if you're not already one of their customers, and you'll understand the difference. Thank you to WellPoint. Thank you to Ray. We got a bunch of other sponsors we're going to thank as well as we go along. But let's get right to it with Frankie McCabe. All right. Let's first start with the breaking news stuff. Yes. Okay. Last night, I finally got word that the Lupoli saga has ended. And there is a story on InsideLowell.com. Scarce on the details. People are very, very hesitant, other than to confirm to me that an agreement has been struck. The divorce is now finalized. The bad marriage, the bad romance, as Lady Gaga sang.
I can relate.
Between the city of Lowell and Lupoli Company's development is now going to be
in the water.
In the past. Best I could gather, they've got some other company that's going to come in. It's been able to satisfy Lupoli's financial asks. Hopefully, give us something other than a 5-story wood build. Although I am told, while no specifics, I have been told since I posted my article, don't hold your breath, Teddy, about your 8-story steel and glass tower like you saw in Haverhill. Is it good to just finally move on? Or should the city have, gone to court if they had to drive a harder bargain and maybe pick a developer that will come in and give us what was promised by Sal?
How long has it been going on?
I think the divorce or the marriage?
The marriage.
The marriage was, I believe, pre-COVID, right? When they made him the main developer or close to that point. Eileen Donahue was the city manager at the time. Christine O'Connor was your city solicitor at the time. But the marriage went bad when he started missing timetables, I believe, in 2023.
So I haven't stayed too close to that one. There's a lot of Sal in the news. It's hard. And my office is up in Haverhill, and he's obviously got that massive development that's obviously moving forward there. So he never stops. I'll give him that.
What bothers me is that he doesn't think it's worth the risk in Lowell. That's what always bothered me. I went to an Italian restaurant my wife wanted to try in Haverhill, and I quickly realized once we got there, that's Lupoli's building, and it was an 8-story steel and glass tower, beautiful, lit up, rooftop deck, just on top of the Merrimack River. It was everything that I would have loved to have seen in the Hamilton Canal, where he promised a 13-story tower. And we went from 13-story tower to 5-story housing. Yeah. Maybe we'll put retail in there if you really want it, he said, but he didn't seem like he was ready to commit.
And he did such a great job at Thorndike Exchange, right? I mean, that's beautiful.
He did.
Yeah.
But what's missing at Thorndike Exchange, if you remember the original plan?
What was it?
A commercial tower. Yeah. There's a little plot of land there that's now a parking lot that was supposed to be the site of a commercial tower that was running perpendicular to the Thorndike Factory Exchange. So apparently he just doesn't want to build towers.
Yeah, not in Lowell.
Not in Lowell. You know. He does in Haverhill, but more details will come out. I'm told that within the next couple of weeks we'll know more, and we'll know more about what the plan is going forward.
And this was just last night, right?
I found out just last night. I guess the deal was agreed to by the city council Tuesday night. How unanimous it was, how thrilled they were with the deal, I don't know. But sure. You've done negotiations, right? If both sides are somewhat unhappy, then it's a good deal, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
we'll see where it goes.
We find out. Yeah. More breaking news. Yesterday afternoon, involving Lowell Firefighter and Chelmsford resident, and then another story involving a Chelmsford police officer. Let's quickly do the Chelmsford police officer first. A gentleman named Frank Good. Yeah. He apparently wanted to do what they call professional courtesy in the law enforcement industry.
Cute expression.
A Suffolk County corrections facility employee was pulled over in Chelmsford Center, allegedly hit a cruiser. Officer pulls him over, deems him to be intoxicated. The guy pulls the "you know who I am" card.
Good.
Yeah, I'm a Suffolk County prison employee. You're going to be in big trouble for this. And the officer on the street, to his or her credit, says, "I don't care. Right. You go to the station." Yep. And that's when the allegations begin. Allegedly, Officer Frank Good says he pulls the same thing, and he says, "You know what? Just let him off with a written warning or whatever the thing was." Sure.
Got a pass.
And now you're all over not only Chelmsford news, but Lowell news, Boston news, and who knows where else.
Did the story say who kind of dimed him out? You know,
that's a good question. I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess the officer who made the arrest, who alleges that he was the car veered off and almost hit him head on. Right. The guy's like, I just escaped with my life. I don't care who you are.
I would presume,
So, Chelmsford police launched an investigation. What they found was disturbing enough that they quickly turned it over to the DA's office, and here we are. But if you can't get professional courtesy anymore as a corrections officer, what the hell are you
What is wrong with this nation?
Isn't that a long-standing tradition?
That is a long-standing. I'm not going to do it. I have too many cop friends. Would be
for all allegations at this point, right? Until proven guilty, you don't know. And if hopefully the rest of the force isn't like that anymore. It was a tradition, right? There were that'll be a division there.
Half are going to say, "Hey, cut the guy a break." The other half's going to be
right. No harm, no foul. It was, there was no accident after all that, and
there's so many fun headlines with his name being Good. By the way, it writes itself every once it keeps really going.
Does.
Yeah, it does.
But it reminds me of I'll sometimes get a parking ticket, or a couple of years ago, I was pulled over on the connector for speeding, and people say to me, "Just challenge it."
Yes.
You're going to just challenge it, so you can get somebody to fix it.
And they won't show up to court.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to put anybody in that situation. So I dutifully paid my $160 speeding ticket. And I send my $25 check, sometimes $30, because I'll forget to send it on time. And I'll send it to Terry Ryan and the Lowell parking department. But I'm actually sending it to the treasurer, my cousin.
Perfect, even better.
So everyone's like, "Well, your cousin's the treasurer; he can fix that for you." I'm like, I'm not putting him in that situation. I'm not putting Terry Ryan.
And the check probably bounced.
Situation. The check clears every single time. My checks are good.
Between your heating bills, you probably can't afford the parking ticket.
Well, I'm now getting $50 back from the governor, so
that'll save us. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Tickets. We'll talk about Governor Healy as well. But the other story, Lowell Firefighter arrested, charged yesterday with all sorts of distributing child pornography, sex trafficking, and a couple of other things that were in
all
there.
fall under that umbrella of what he was doing.
Yeah, and apparently over a long period of time, he was on social media soliciting nude pictures, sex photos, videos, whatever he could get from underaged women, individuals, people.
Presumably.
Who knows? Now, again, all alleged. All, you know, he is going to have his day in court, and we shall see. But the way they were able to confirm him was it was a pattern of this behavior to the point where some of the young ladies felt creeped out enough.
You think?
And one of them, even, I guess, an older family member suggested, oh, yeah, I know this guy. You should friend him or whatever. But he apparently paid for some of these photos, videos, sex acts, whatever it was, using Venmo, which is a
trail there.
Subsidiary of PayPal. And before you know it, through all that, they were able to track the IP address where these transactions occurred to his house in Chelmsford and the Gorham Street Fire Station in Lowell. He is a Lowell firefighter. David Silva, his name.
David Silva, yeah. I saw it. I told you before we started, I first opened my eyes, turned on the news this morning, and the first thing I see is Lowell firefighter, sex. I said, oh, boy. Good way to start the day. It was an hour from coming here to talk to you. I said, oh, we have something to talk about today for sure.
So we'll post stories on InsideLowell.com with all the details on these stories as well. By the time you see this podcast at noon or later on Thursday the 13th, you will
terrible.
You'll have these stories on Inside Lowell, and maybe we'll even have some new developments as they go along. But I know you wanted to talk about a list of things that we've done recently, so I'm going to let you fire away. Who's batting leadoff in your list of grievances?
Well, let's see. We'll end on the funner notes. We'll start, in you and Marty, Mondays with Marty, talked extensively, and you also on your Tuesday, what do you call it? Your Rip It Tuesday? What do you
Trigger 'em Tuesday.
Trigger 'em Tuesday.
I'm big into the alliteration.
Okay. I love it. So, Governor Healy was in town on Monday over at CTI, correct?
Yes.
I'm paying attention as best I can. And in a nutshell, she's working on her whole energy affordability agenda, is what it's called, whatever that means. Yeah. And in a nutshell, we're all have the benefit of a whopping $50 deducted from our heating bills.
We're getting a rebate, I guess, right? Are we going to actually get a check in the mail, or is it just going to come off the heating
I would think
bill?
it's a debit kind of thing, right?
It would be smart, right? Rather than doing all these transactions. But, who knows? Maybe
save the stamp.
Maybe there's something more tangible in terms of politicking if you actually receive a check, right? Like we received our stimulus money and stuff.
And you dug into this a lot deeper than most. And so what are you reading in that language? I saw your early in the week, you had the highlights of what she's saying, the volatility, and what is your interpretation of what she's saying?
This kamikaze push towards carbon neutral, zero carbon, whatever the hell they're calling it these days.
It's difficult to read.
It's making working class, middle class, and lower class people broke, is what it's doing. Your energy bill has skyrocketed, partially because of the rising cost of fuel. But a big part because of the delivery charges. And that is all because it's harder to deliver the fuel here when you've shut down certain pipelines, bragged about it in the governor's case, and you have to start getting your gas from Tennessee, from overseas, from wherever, because wind and solar and water and whatever, they're not ready yet to meet a 21st century industrial country the size of the United States. You're seeing this in Europe, Germany.
Yeah,
Germany's in a recession because they're toast, and they're now like, all right, we're gonna start buying Russian gas, But you wake up to it too late, and you've got some heartache, and this winter there's heartache. How much did your bill go up?
I live in a little one bedroom, so I'm not too bad. But I mean, it jumps. I was paying. I average around $150 to $250. Just like that. I mean, it was a very cold January, obviously, too.
Exactly.
We missed the snow, but we got the cold. So
we've had other cold winters, though, right? Maybe not last year, but
again, I think it's nice, and you made the point. I'll happily take that $50, but is it headline worthy? Like, thank you, I guess.
Well, what I'm wondering is where I'm going to pay for it and how, unbeknownst to me. Because what? You think National Grid, Eversource, Unitil, and whoever else is going to just lose $125 million check to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? No, they're going to recoup that money elsewhere. Her previous proposal said, all right, we'll lower your rates in January, February, and March. We'll raise them in April, May, and June. So, you know, it's like that. National Grid will put you on a budget, right?
Yes.
Where you pay a consistent amount throughout the year. The volatility is eliminated. The increased cost isn't. It's just spread out over 12 months instead of, 6.
Yeah, exactly. It just takes the sting out a little, but I don't know.
Is it time to abandon this zero carbon emissions
I don't know.
goal?
I'm not a, clean earth. I don't know. I don't know what to think. The wind thing, I don't know.
Is it working?
No.
How's your energy? I'm asking people. We've got, so on top of the oil and gas that we have and some degree of coal, because they to make electricity they burn coal. Clean energy, my ass.
Yeah. Right.
But they're just not able to meet the demand right now.
No.
It's simple. No. And the demand, by the way, that is skyrocketing due to technology and artificial intelligence, which actually has the world now discussing a massive increase in the number of nuclear power plants that are built. Google, Amazon, all these big high-tech companies, they're committing millions of dollars to build nuclear power plants.
What a world.
What a world. What a world. The other part that did catch my interest on that, and I made kind of a big deal about it, the governor's announcement, was in order to give us that $50 rebate, she said they determined that we could still meet our clean energy goals while giving you the rebate. How was that determined? I'm just curious. I must have missed the study that was commissioned at either one of the Ivy Leagues or UMass Lowell, but was there an analysis done? Was there a study done? Yeah. Did the study ask, well, what if we give everybody $100 back? Can we still meet our, what's the
What drove that number? I don't know. What drove it to 50? Like what did it arbitrarily just say, it feels good, looks good, politics well.
But how do you determine? Had this been an ongoing study for the last 2 years? Did they know these results before the...
Was it cited in her report?
I didn't see it in the press release.
You dug into it pretty good.
I didn't see it in the press release. I didn't see it on the Commonwealth of Massachusetts official website, which had, quote unquote, more information. All it said is we have determined. That's how do you make that determination?
Yeah.
Is it a lot like Fauci's 6-foot rule? You just kind of pull it out of thin air?
Yeah, where do you get 6 feet?
How did they determine that? I really want to know, because that spawns a lot of questions.
Well, see, you clearly dug into it pretty deep, more than the average citizen, I'm sure, more than me. And I think I look at it more as it makes Governor Healey's administration look better, because that's what people like me, they're just reading the headline. I'm getting 50 back. That's good. That's positive. Oh, I like her. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of as far as people would go. Granted, all to the points you made, like if you want to really dig in here, it's like, well,
does it make her look better? I mean, I think she's getting some bad advice. Her first effort was, well, we're going to reduce your bills by, I think the number was 5% these 3 months. And everyone, yay, 5% reduction. And then we find out, well, the catch is that, well, we're going to increase the bills in the ensuing months to make up for that 5% reduction. And the potential of National Grid et al. Being able to charge interest to recoup the money that they didn't get in those 3 months of reduction. So is this going to go over the same way? You talk to people. Are people applauding the latest announcement?
I don't talk to people about energy. Are you kidding me? I don't care. Move on. Let's go. All right. We got more fun stuff to talk about.
What's your next topic?
Smith Baker.
The cat. 9 lives for that building.
9 votes, 9 lives.
Did the
what was that?
Goof?
What was that?
Did the council goof in delaying what might be the... I think it's the inevitable, but...
I think I found troubling was January 14th. It was a 7-2 in favor of. Does that sound right?
6-2.
6-2. Someone wasn't.
There were a couple of councils not there, and then one had to abstain
in favor of
demolishing it.
Demolish. And then the other night, it's a 9-2 rescind is the word they're using.
With a lot of the ones who voted to demolish saying,
Correct.
well, let's give it one more chance.
That's what I wanted to talk about. That I don't get it. I don't understand. Is it a political thing? Like, I'm getting some heat. The people that don't want it torn down, right? Is that
The
basically
art
what
of
you think?
the flip-flop? Is
Correct.
that what you're
Flip-flop.
saying?
That's what I wrote. Yep. I don't know. It's a question for debate. I just find it a little troubling. And I think, my take on that is if you're pandering to voters, what's ultimately going to happen, I think, right? It's a matter of, it's like you said, 9 lives. It's going to happen.
Someone's going to come up with $20 million plus,
$20 million
right?
plus and all that. And it's a danger to even be in there, right? And what were they thinking of repurposing for Kerouac Museum or something like that? Was possible on the table?
The Kerouac Museum was way back. A Cambodian history museum. But that disappeared the other night as well. You no longer heard about the Cambodian history museum, and you heard about a performance center because we don't have enough in Lowell right now.
Yeah.
We heard about community spaces and classrooms and education. How, from a business model, that just doesn't sound sustainable to me unless you've got a sugar daddy,
right,
or
really
an angel investor,
right,
funding it. But where are the angel investors? No disrespect to Dennis McCarthy and all the other people who spoke, Councilor Paul Ratayem. I'm not aware that any of them have the type of funding to build this. Are they going to be able to walk into a bank and get that kind of funding as soon as, they say, well, we need to show that we have control of the building and the property. Okay.
It's, like you said, unless there's someone with really deep pockets coming in, it's all you can do is lipstick on a pig kind of thing for the moment. It's gotta go.
Yeah, you're talking $3, maybe $4 million just to put a safety net around it and whatever, right?
Right.
So, I'll tell you what, if they can just walk into a bank with a piece of paper that says we now own this property and get $20 million, I'm going to be pissed because I've been trying to walk into banks for like 7 years and I have fully had control of a property and I can't seem to get them to loan me money, let alone just hand it over to me.
And the other thing I've just made note of is I feel like this is a progress versus nostalgia. We live in a very historic. There's some amazing structures that have been rehabbed and beautifully done. And this would fall in that category if feasible. But I think it's like, move on. It's time to move on. It's time to put something there meaningful and not just, and it's going to happen. I did find the vote a little, it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah. Look, it's a pretty building.
It is.
Can't we build something that pays homage to it?
Absolutely, right.
I like the idea, just like they did at the old Rialto, right?
Yes.
The train station. They completely demolished the back, which a lot of people didn't expect, but they left the front of it and they restored the front of it. And it looks, from the streetscape, it looks nice. From the back end, it looks like a theater.
Yeah. So that's just my take. I think a lot of people feel the same. It's just, I think, stalling in the inevitable. But
you're like me. You just think it's a stay of execution.
Correct. Well said.
The Smith Baker will still be getting asked what it wants for a last meal.
So
before or after the election?
That's exactly. That's my final question on that topic. Maybe you know the answer. When does this then come about again? Now that's been rescinded. Does someone have to make another motion? Could that be next week? Could that be in a year?
There was talk about 60 days. You got to put out RFPs because you can't just have, if you're going to put that building out, you have to open it up to other people to come forward and want to develop it. I, for the life of me, can't see why somebody would come forward now after not coming forward for 20 some odd years. Right. But, who knows? Maybe, the city manager sitting in that chair talked about, angel investors for other properties in Lowell. Are there angel investors now? Does he know something that we don't? Does Councilor Paul Ratayem know something we don't? The only thing I can think of is that does this front runner city, because one of the things that they talk about was historic places and restoration and renovation. Is this the type of project where, suddenly you come in with a low interest loan and maybe now, that 20 million required is easier to finance when you don't have 20 million plus a very high interest rate.
Right. Good point.
So maybe it's possible. If it is, I'd like to know. because, as you said, at some point you've got to make this decision. Is this going to drag out another year to the next council? 2 years, 3 years? It's at some point somebody's got to put up or shut up.
It's a massive undertaking either way. And you think about the location of it, what that will do to the never congested downtown Lowell traffic patterns too. I think about that a lot. Just right next to City Hall and the library. And
well, I was concerned what all the what the demolition would do, like to all the dust on all those pretty little street paintings that we have. Now,
will be like a Vegas implosion, like
that's what I wanted to see.
I want to see that.
I want to see
like
cool. just detonate it and just have it come down with the TV.
Get the drone out. Yeah.
I'd broadcast it live on Inside Lowell. I'd get out there with my Facebook Live phone.
You'll probably be retired before it happens, but
I'm afraid you may be right. You're tuned into the Daily Pulse on this Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Frank McCabe, host of the Can I Be Frank podcast here on Inside Lowell, is joining us in the studios. We'll get back to our multi-pronged discussion. Let me just quickly thank our Daily Pulse sponsors. Of course, starts with Ray Booten, licensed realtor, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. You can find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. There's my Washington Savings Bank mug right here. Nice little, keeping my water nice and fresh. I promise it's water, not vodka, Frankie. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space at TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell since 1925. Great organization, great family institution as well. And by the way, I bet you their rates haven't skyrocketed like National Grid's. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in Greater Lowell through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, insuring your most valuable assets since 1982. And by the Massachusetts Pirates, who bring all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. Pirates season opener now just 8 days away, March 21st. They open at the Tasongas Center. You ever go over into the games last year, Frankie?
I did.
I thought it was a blast. My son absolutely loved it. It's cool. A fun take. I was disappointed that they didn't draw better. They should have drawn much better on a Friday or Saturday night when they had most of their games. But it's a fun take. Hopefully year two now they've got some roots established in here, and there's a
lot of great cheap takes around here. Besides the Riverhawk, the Mill City Eagles last summer, football, and you got to things are so expensive, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to pay $50 a ticket to see a hockey team that would rather play at Aganis.
And even like this past week, you get all these great, for kids, high school hockey at the Songus, things of that nature.
Yeah.
There's a lot here.
We're a mecca of activities. We love it. We're a mecca of news as well. Right. What else is on that list?
I know it's like the rapid fire today.
But I like the fact that this is a handwritten piece of line
I'm
paper.
Still old school. I still go to the notebook.
I like it. I like it. You and Counselor get you. You do it the old-fashioned way.
I'm showing my age. Just some other things I noted in the news. Lowell, City of Lowell launching their 311 app.
Oh, yes.
Which I thought was, I said, what is this all about? I downloaded it. I was on it this morning. I was planning to make fun of it and maybe take some digs at Dan and manager Golden. But you know what?
Go ahead.
No, I can do that. I can do that all day if I wanted to. But in terms of this, I think it's pretty great. Essentially, and you can jump in if I misstate, the 311 app is a free, that's important, for citizens of Lowell, that they can chime in on just about anything. There's probably 100 different topics of there's a pothole on my street, my trash didn't get picked up. There's a health and human services component to it. I haven't obviously used it yet, but I think it's pretty cool. My fear is, and this is where it maybe gets a little funny, is people have free license to now just fire in their complaints about their living conditions and anything wrong, literally.
Legitimate or illegitimate, right?
Right. So my only fear is what the volume could be like, because I got to believe arguably there'd be thousands a day. And so how is that? I'm sure it's being fired off to the correct department in person, and I'm sure there's all this, I'm sure it was heavily vetted. But I'll be interested to see how it goes in the first few weeks, months. Because
you mean who's going to be stuck monitoring this thing and what they have to deal with?
I can picture Lee Gitchier just firing in just to mess with the whole. Well, what about false claims? That's a fear.
So I put the story up on. So I share the thing on social media that the city shared, and literally within 5 minutes, the very first comment was, "What are you going to do about the the crackhead in my?"
Right.
And I'm like that. There you go. There's Lowell.
Who's policing the bad term? Who's policing all of the database that will be the funnel will be full in a matter of hours? I feel like every day.
I probably should call in and get an update on how many issues have already been lodged.
And as I said, I'm sure it's been done well. It seems well thought out. I just anyone with a phone could be just driving down the street. Oh, there's a dent in that stop sign. It could get to the level that, who determines what's not what's real necessarily, but what's really going to get your attention, right? So I don't know. It just came out. So like I said, I would suggest downloading it. I do think it's.
Is that where we are as a society? Like how did we report things in the past? You either called City Hall, or you talked to somebody you knew. Called a counselor.
Got into a guy, called City Council.
And you got this is really no different. I mean, I guess it's easier because everybody now has smartphones, and the younger generation. Sure. My kids are wedded to it. Other folks are wedded to their phones. But
of course,
I mean, do you really get the sense that high school and college students are using their phones to go to Lowell 311 and report a sign down, or are they using it to Snapchat?
I'll say,
hopefully not using it to Venmo money for naked pictures.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, come on. So dive in. The water's warm.
I was going to say, you
do the polar
There could be some people
dive into these waters, buddy.
I'll say this, though, right? The younger generation especially, and I think even, folks of our generation, you tend to avoid a phone call if it can be done through a text, right? It's just the way it is. Sometimes I don't want to spend 8 minutes on the phone. I can spend 8 seconds on a text to someone, right? Especially if it's a one-way communication. I'm running late, Ted. But so my point is, I think it will get heavily used because I don't want to call someone. I don't want a human contact if I can just say, oh, pothole on Andover Street. And then you wonder how the priority list will go. Pothole on Andover Street or pothole on Salem Street? Who gets the...
Can I report a pothole on Dalton Road and maybe somebody from Lowell can call?
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I mean, but do we really need a vehicle to report potholes?
We'll see. I don't know. And like I said, I don't know if you've gone through it. They did not miss a topic, certainly, in terms of what you want to, not complain, it's wrong word, report.
Complain.
So I'm just I almost want to test it out. Maybe that'll be my mission.
Can you report your neighbor for loud music?
I think you can, but I don't know.
Hours party, like I didn't see if there was
the
McCabe household is driving me. I can't sleep at night. They're blaring bad '80s music in there.
I didn't notice if there was a like a first responders type of thing report. I smell a gas leak. My neighbor's too loud. I smell smoke. I didn't notice that, so. It possibly is, but
it's available.
That's a phone call, though.
It's available on your Google Play Store and Apple, whatever that.
Yeah.
Download your app. So I've got to go get it. I quickly looked the other day, but I couldn't for some reason I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's Lowell 311 if you search in your app store.
All right.
That's how I found it.
And so you've downloaded it?
I did download. So it's down. We'll see. Good on Lowell. I think it's a good. We'll see.
All right. If you insist, I'll give it a shot. What else you got on that handy?
All right. On a funner note, and I just was brought to my attention yesterday, a local family, the Flanagans, have a racehorse.
Yes, they do. You didn't watch the race last Saturday?
I like I said, I didn't find out till post haste race.
We've got to get you.
I know.
Reading Inside Lowell more often.
I really should. I am a part of the cog in the wheel here.
We had a story up there Friday about
exciting.
The Flanagan family racing.
Yeah. So was it Sean Flanagan, I believe?
Sean Flanagan. By the way, great story. I linked to an interview he did with some horse racing publication.
Okay.
In 2019, he was given months to live with cancer. And here he is 6 years later. But he talks about how he's decided, I'm going to make the most of my life, and he's enjoying the ride.
Very successful entrepreneur.
Yeah. And he owns a thoroughbred named Chancellor McPatrick, who finished second in the race Saturday, by the way, earning 25 more points towards his Kentucky Derby qualifying. So he has not qualified yet, but he's got another race coming up. Yes. April 5th, I believe, in Keeneland, the Bluegrass Stakes. For horse racing fans.
His past was the Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay Downs. Yeah, he ran down in Florida. But the Flanagan family, Dave Flanagan, the president now of the Longmeadow Board, but Helen Flanagan, longtime deputy superintendent in the city of Lowell, she got nosed out, pardon the pun,
very nice,
by Carla Brooks Bear in 2000, 4 votes to 3 to succeed George Sepetsaris.
Yeah. Well, so I guess the storyline is, I mean, keep an eye on that horse. That would be fun. I mean, that's the highest level, right? You get to the Derby, right? That's the dream.
He's a 3-year-old in contention for a slot in the Kentucky Derby. But a bunch of buddies of mine made it a point on Saturday, and as did I at the Athenian. I looked for Fox Sports 2, their sports network, because I wanted to see that race. And sure enough, we got to watch the race. Yeah, we found it. We watched it. He, he was on the rail the whole time. It was a tight pack. And then at the end, it was the horse that ended up winning, and Chancellor McPatrick second. Neither one, neither one was challenged. The winner wasn't really challenged. Chancellor wasn't really challenged for second place either. So it was a nice run. His first race back since
it's exciting to watch
last year.
So
I love horse racing.
I do too. I'm a seasonal guy. I get into the Triple Crown stuff, but it's fun and it's good to watch, and it's such a short window of time when people pay attention. So,
but you also to have a Lowell interest.
Yes,
and you got to go back to the days of Gil Campbell. I think had some horses that were either flirting with it or actually running. I think he had a couple runs.
Gil Campbell named a horse after my son. True story.
Oh, get out of here.
Time. Yeah, very good, great guy.
What was the name of the horse?
It was Just for Frankie.
Just for Frankie.
Yeah. As my son was very young with his new autism diagnosis. My dad bumps into Gil Campbell. He had an autism awareness bracelet on. I said, "What's that?" Tells him the story. He goes, "Well, we got a new, what do they call him? New stud or whatever." He goes, "We're going to name one after him." And he thought he was full of crap. And he goes, "Nope, name the horse." And he says, if the horse does anything, we'll fly you out for his first race.
Oh,
I have a big picture of it in my home of the horse. So it was a real thing. So that's a nice sidebar. But
how'd the horse run?
Not well. No. Kind of like me.
All right, but he had a great name.
He had a great name. Yeah.
He had a great name.
So that's well wishes to that.
The
that'll be fun to watch.
Family, Sean and Chancellor McPatrick. Remember that name?
Chancellor McPatrick. Those are the big ones. So that's the last one. You opened up that can of worms. None of us can close. Talking about the high school again yesterday.
Oh, with former Mayor Samaras.
Speaking of old horses. Thoroughbred. He's a thoroughbred.
He is.
How old is he?
80s? I think he's in his 80s at this
Sharp
point.
as a tack.
He still follows the Lowell political scene. I was
impressed.
I think he misses it. But he, look, agree or disagree with him, and I disagreed vociferously with him during that high school debate. And even yesterday, he didn't budge. He didn't. I asked him if he had it to do all over again, and he still insisted it was the right choice.
Yeah.
But
I admire him holding his ground, but you don't
agree with him, do you?
Not in the slightest. And there's so many more issues in the cost overrun, the time overrun. I mean, how is that deniable? The floor in the basement, the gym isn't doing well, and that's done. That's in place. I mean, all reports are from my friends over at the high school. That's has its own issue.
Yeah, and that's a separate discussion because that's the new building, and ostensibly they could have done the same thing at Colley Stadium had they gone to that site, and the gym, if they built it the same way, would have had issues. The question I have was the tight footprint that they had to build that gym on, and the fact that they were doing it while school was going on, except instead of in an off-site location where it was just the construction crews and a couple of angry neighbors, a couple of thousand of angry neighbors. But did that affect the workmanship, the detail, the attention that was put into it? What shortcuts or what adjustments were taken to shoehorn the freshman academy, into a very tight downtown footprint while still having 3,000 plus students milling around that building every single day for 181 days? No one will answer that question. they'll just tell you the same thing would have happened at Collie.
I don't know how you can argue that. This was a new parcel of land versus, like you said, shoehorning is the best way to put it, right? There's only so much room they had to work with. And then in a congested downtown street traffic and kids in the building, you can't say it would have been the same issues. I mean, it's no sense even barking at the moon. But
even if you try to say it, and I made this point to, former Mayor Samaras, yes, like, you cannot say that for sure. I can 110% say what your issues are downtown.
Yeah.
And they are everything we told you they would be in 2017 and then some, and we'll forgive the COVID time frame, although it should be noted that the delay and the extended time period to build, a 5-year time period to build as opposed to a 3, and the year plus delay caused by the switch in the votes, that led you through COVID. You would have had everything pretty much purchased and, under construction by the time we shut everything down for COVID, almost to this day, 5 years ago. That's indisputable. I'm sorry, downtown supporters, but I can say Collie would have happened without it, and you cannot prove me wrong.
No.
I can prove you wrong with what you said was going to happen if you built downtown.
Right.
Because it's happened.
It's happening. Yep. And we'll see. But
what did you make of the comparison to Illinois?
and again, with all due respect to former mayor, my former headmaster, I was there when he was the headmaster at Lowell High School. He brought up his intense studies, around similar projects. He referenced obviously Lawrence, which is more, I think, comparable. Then he said there was a similar situation in Illinois, and I said, how is that? Just seemed like an odd comparison. There's a Lowell, Illinois, I think. I don't know. I was like, well, that's a reach. That's a reach in terms of, but again, like I said, we're barking at the moon now, and we should probably just get behind it's happening.
Right.
But
see, this is what scares me. Is that we're now completely at the mercy of what they tell us, right? Jim Dow. Do you know Jim, by the way?
Very well.
You do? Okay. So I do not know. Can you try to set him up to come in here? Will he come in and do an interview? He might.
He's a quiet guy, but he's a very honest, thorough guy.
He can do it with you. Because I've got a bunch of questions for him. Because either his company, and he's the front man, right? He's the one who has to go out and face the fire. But either his company is grossly incompetent, or they were told to look the other way for political reasons and then did it.
Yeah.
You don't discover 4 years in that you don't have enough footing underneath, that your base is, rotted, missing 2 inches here, an inch there. That's John Haley very correctly pointed out. That's standard construction procedure on an existing building, old building, hell, on a new building. You know what you're drilling into.
I'll leave it at that, Ted.
But we've got to get this done right.
Yeah.
And now Skanska knows it. Yeah. Suffolk knows it. Yeah. They all know that we can't cut corners anymore. And as a matter of fact, they told us even if you want to cut corners, you can't anymore. Yeah. So what if they come in with a price tag in April that's completely through the roof?
Can't wait.
What if 6 months from now they get into the 1896 building and the same thing starts happening? You can't say no to them anymore.
But there's no choice now.
You have no choice.
Too late. Can't get a little bit pregnant.
Yeah. So your only choice is you believe that they are incompetent and you start taking legal action.
I guess.
Which I would root for if they're incompetent. You got to recoup this money somehow. You can't let them get away with that level of incompetence.
And now they've officially said there's at least a 4-month delay.
Correct.
Which we all know is not going to be 4 months.
Those kids ain't getting into that school till September of 2027. Let's be honest. The 27-28 academic year is when this will start.
Yeah. And I know there's a whole bunch of teachers and administrators over there just like, I want to see this through. They're like, I can't see this through. I'm 78 years old now.
To delay their retirement to see it through?
I doubt it. Yeah. No. But there's a lot of good people over there just, listening to construction. I talked to some friends over there. You hear the drilling and everything. I was like, where are you? I'm in my office, but I'm in my classroom. So that's hard. It's hard for everybody.
Right now, there are kids, flunking tests left and right so they can be held back a year and say that they were part of the first graduating. I thought I was going to be part of the first graduating class, but I guess not. I need to delay it a year.
They're not failing on purpose.
Yeah, and the problem is their teachers are passing them anyway.
Let them go. Oh, boy.
Anyone else we want to piss off?
No, that's it for today.
You've done enough damage for one day?
That's it for today. I got to go to work.
All right. Frank McCabe. Watch for him on the Can I Be Frank podcast. Go to our YouTube channel. Got your own playlist there. A litany of them. Some fun stuff, including some great Keefe Family Polar Plunge podcast and some other shows you've done as well. Also, you got some articles online. Folks are welcome to look into our search engine, InsideLowell.com, and see them. And we've got a couple of podcasts now in the book, a couple of daily pulses. So
yeah, thanks for having me, Ted.
Anytime, man.
Yeah,
anytime.
Always fun.
Let's get you back in a couple of weeks and cause some more trouble.
Sold.
All right. Frankie McCabe, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in as well to the Daily Pulse on this Thursday, March 13th. Tomorrow, Friday the 14th, Leslie Boder will be here in studios. We've got some fun topics lined up with Leslie. We're going to lay a little bit off the politics. We'll inject some, but we'll have some fun. We promise you. Till then, everybody stay safe, enjoy this weather, and we'll catch you on the other side.